Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Duron Jones with Youth Empowerment Society. Duron, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Hey, give us a little bit of a background on yourself and what your entrepreneurial journey has been up to this point, and then what led you to move into Youth Empowerment Society.
Well, my background has been for at least the last 10 years in leadership development for youth and career development, as well as helping with student advocacy and allowing the voice and empowerment of our communities. And I worked on both the business side of it as well as the education side of it. And I decided to, last year, to rebrand how I do my stuff and start my own company to focus on being more of a consultant to these entities and helping them take control of their futures, whether they be on the side of the youth or on the side of a business that wants to engage in the education sector.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a really interesting prospect because you probably know the statistics, but that age demographic, that millennial generation, is a huge opportunity. And I think that you've got the boomers and the Gen Xers kind of moving out of the prime work years and then moving in are the millennials. So is that what you saw, to focus in on that generation and then kind of build that leadership from that need that way?
Yes, exactly, because there are changes going on right now in the work demographics, but the most important change is that one thing that we hear from a lot of employers in our work is that the youth who are getting ready to take over the jobs of the older generations don't necessarily have all the soft skills employers are looking for. And so we work a lot on helping the students not only get the hard skills of what they learn through degrees or work programs, but helping them get those soft skills, which helps employers help their bottom lines.
I think that's an interesting way to put it, soft skills, because people don't think like that. And I would like to pose this question to you, which is more important, a millennial developing soft skills to better fit into the workplace, to be more productive, or the workplace, the Gen X and boomers, developing some soft skills to learn how to deal with and better integrate with millennials?
I would say it's a two-part thing. I would say that having millennials come in that have learned the soft skills or are in the process of learning soft skills is beneficial because it brings a breath of fresh air to the company, because it's not only the soft skills coming in, but it's also new thought process too, because they're younger. They probably have just came through an education program where they probably have new thoughts on how to do things. But it's still important for the older generations to learn the soft skills that they haven't yet, because if only one generation has those skills, it could create a divide in the company, or it could even create a feeling of being ostracized as the older generation if they feel like the company is so focused on moving out old people to bring in new people with soft skills. And so it's a two-part solution where it's not just one group is better than the other, but it's a matter of how do we do it holistically as a company as a whole.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%, because if only one side of that equation is the one doing all the work, then at some point that burns out. Right, so I think both sides need to recognize the skills and the advantages and disadvantages of the other, because that's when they can truly learn how to work together. Otherwise, they're just watching for that first misstep and like, aha, see, I knew that was going to happen. And so I think developing that awareness from both sides is super important. So you dedicate your work with working with the youth and that younger generation. What would you say to a parent that says, my child just doesn't know what they want to do in life, much less majoring in college, and college is coming up, and we know we need to maximize that time, and you don't want to waste time and money changing multiple majors. So what's the importance of knowing that up front?
Well, I would say the thing that I always tell you as well as parents is that the most important thing to remember is that it's okay to not know when you're first starting college. There's people who go into college and they know exactly what they want to do. They stick with it for 4 years and they take care of it. But then there's also people who don't know and they go in, they try out a lot of stuff the first year so that they can figure out their major by their second year. And then there's people who go in that switch their major 6 times. I've seen people switch it for 10 times within 1 year. But what I always try to remind parents and their children is that the most important thing is to have the goal of wanting a comfortable living once they finish college. So not just the major part of it, but having the goal of comfortable living, because everything else is a stepping stone towards that. Because you can know exactly what you want to major in, but if you're going to be struggling when you finish college and can't find a job, then you're still wasting the money and the degree. But if you have the mindset of you wanting a comfortable living, then you can move stuff around and find a major that might fit you properly and minor in something that you love that may not make you money, or however you want to do it, but the end goal should be comfortable living more so than the degree. And we have some stuff, we have some freebies on our website that goes more into that. It's a 5-day mailing that we talk about how to create a comfortable living roadmap for students.
I like that thought process because it reminds me of the book Simon Sinek, Begin with the Why, and if you are doing this bullet point or that bullet point just for the sake of doing it, why are you doing it? And so to your point, have a comfortable living and have that lifestyle and have that, a lot of things can be inserted into that to achieve that goal. So it kind of helps take the pressure off. And I would suspect that part of your advice would be kind of do some personality matching and see, what you are, maybe geared better to do. And sometimes you're too close to the situation, meaning you're you, that if you say, well, what do you like to do? Sometimes it's hard to answer that. Have you found that as well?
Yes, we have. And a lot of youth, when you ask them what they want to do, they don't know, or they have a notion of what their parents want them to do or what their teachers want them to do, but it may not be what they want to do. And so it kind of creates a hardship for them because they're not sure. And sometimes we even have students who know what they want to do, but they think, oh, it's too expensive, or that's not for my gender, my ethnicity, that's not for my community, so I can't do it. Mm-hmm. But that's something that they shouldn't let prevent them, because one thing that we offer to our youth is it's an interest indicator where they're able to go through a self-paced module that allows them to kind of figure out what careers are best fit for them based on their responses to certain questions and certain interest areas. It has 16 different career clusters. And then once they have the list of what they might be geared towards, it gives them actual real-life work samples from that field to kind of test out their skills to see, is that the right path for them?
Yeah, I love that because sometimes I know you've probably taken those DISC analysis or those different personality analysis, and at the end they give you the results, and you're thinking, boy, that was creepy accurate. That was really accurate. How did they pull out all of that out of just these questions? And so I'm sure these youth people taking these assessments that you're mentioning, some of these results might be interestingly surprising to them. Like, I never thought about that. And then when you bring in the other piece, which is, and here's what a day in the life of this job may be, or here's what that would look like, it kind of brings it to life. I'm sure you've seen some kids take that and kind of get super excited with, I've never thought about that, and that could be really cool, right?
Yes, exactly. Because it opens up new doors they haven't thought about, too.
Yeah, and then it excites them for the direction they're going to take. Then in their major then kind of crystallizes, and then the different subjects that they're interested in. So I think Stephen Covey used to say, begin with the end in mind, and kind of like with your point there, make a comfortable living, and then here's what these assessments can do, and here's what this job can do, and then you're like, okay, if these are the things that you would like to do because of what we discovered, here then is some majors, and here's some courses that you should be taking, and then all of that tends to make sense, and then they may not have thought about it before, but you're kind of painting that picture.
Exactly.
What would that look like once they do that with you, with them working with your organization? Is that something that you work directly with just the youth, or the youth and the parents together, or do you have workshops? What would that look like?
Well, the most common option that we have is a youth would sign up and we would work with them one-on-one on it. They would sign up as a self-paced module they can do from their phones, their iPads, their computers, and so they'll go through the modules we have different modules that we offer. One of the ones that we offer is that interest indicator one, and they will go through that, and at the end, then they'll meet with someone from our team who would help walk them through the next steps, which is figuring out, okay, where do I go once I have done the work sample and done the assessments to figure out what the next step, whether it's go to a 2-year or 4-year certification program to kind of help them in that process. We do invite parents to be a part of that discussion. It's not required because some of the youth that we do serve may not have their families as engaged also, so we don't try to make it a requirement. For organizations and schools that would like us to do a workshop, we do have the option where they can invest in their youth and buy the access to the modules, and then we come in and do workshops. We do about, it varies depending on the organization, but we'll do a 4-session workshop to a 12-session workshop to help the youth kind of really put into practice what's the next steps, and that includes resume writing, interview skills, applying to colleges, applying to scholarships, to kind of lay that foundation for the larger population that they want to serve.
Excellent. You know, I love structure, and I'm the kind of person that if I can follow a checklist or give me an Excel file with these points that I need to follow, you know, and here's your progress, and you've made it this far, and here's the next step. It just kind of is comforting to know that you're on the right track and you're following the process and the blueprint, and that's what it sounds like your modules are. So I really love that approach. So let's shift over to business owners. What is the focus there? How can a business best engage with, you know, this sector?
Yeah, well, when I think about the business sector and the education sector, and my degree is from the business sector. Really, even though I've worked in the education sector, they're two. I look at them like two countries. They speak different languages in a sense, and they go at different speeds. And when I talk with business owners that are wanting to engage in the education sector, I always remind them that think about your end goal, but don't let the end goal be the only thing in your mind. Because about a partnership with the education sector, rather than it being about how businesses are, which is create a partnership, let's do it, let's go. Education is more of a slower pace item. And so what I always say is have patience and willingness to build a relationship with them while you're also keeping the idea of what can you provide in value to the education sector. Because that's something that's key. And some ideas for how they can engage is, yes, some of it will take time, some of it might take resources, but it's about investing early so that you have a return on your investment. And so some things that people that work with me have done in the past are career-focused. Teachers are always looking for opportunities. So if you want to go in do a one-time workshop from your sector, or even do a how did I get to where I'm at now discussion with the students to kind of give information back is always good. You can also volunteer and mentor one student. You can also do an unpaid or paid internship, because the key is to convert that career-focused teacher into a champion or advocate for you. Because once they're hooked and once the students are hooked on what you can do, then they're going to be advocating to the rest of the people in the education sector for you to be involved in their community. And for any business that's wanting to do this process, we do a lot of work around understanding the nuances and navigating the system, and we're happy to help a business that's wanting to get engaged with the education sector.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's kind of like giving results in advance. You know, you get your best raving fans out there experiencing it, and then they can talk from experience and not just hand out a flyer. So what would that look like? What would an example be of kind of the results of some of that mentorship?
Yeah, so I'll use one example that I actually did earlier this year. So I work with a school district. I won't include their name, but I work with a school district that I have provided some support around event management and some support around career development. So I volunteered in the school and I led a workshop around how to address your concerns for your career and unpacking your skill set. Because a lot of the students that they had didn't know what skills they had, and they were like, well, I can't get a job because I have no skills. And so we did a workshop around unpacking your skills. And so from that, the district then wanted to bring me in to pay me to lead workshops for their entire ninth grade population. The first time I came into the unpacking workshop, I did it for free. I did a one-time free workshop. And so from that, it allowed them to see kind of what I'm talking about, see that I'm legitimate, see that I'm actually going to provide value to their students, which then encouraged them to invest in having my team come in and do workshops for their entire population of ninth graders. It looks different for different companies. For me, our company does a lot of the consulting and workshop providing, so that's what our end goal of value is. For a company that does maybe it's tech software, it could be different. It could be that you help a class that's doing a project engage with your tech software, and then maybe the school or the district or the organization, if it's a nonprofit that's outside of school, wants to invest in buying access to the software for the entire population. So it looks different, but that's some ideas for how it could go about.
Yeah, I always like to look at all aspects of what's in it for, each sector. So here's a question about the school districts. When you presented that first complimentary workshop, they saw enough and wanted to bring you back in for a series of paid workshops. What's in it for the school district? In other words, I'm sure that they appreciated that the kids got some wonderful education, but I'm certain that there's tightness in any school district's budget. So they found margin in their budget to do this, and they had to justify it somehow to their superiors. What do you think, and what did you see was their benefit? What did they get out of it to be able to report back to their superiors and say, these workshops are excellent because, and what are the metrics that they're looking at to report then to their superiors from these workshops?
Yeah, so when it comes to school districts right now, there's standards that school districts have to meet in order to be considered educating our youth. Mm-hmm. And so in the cases of how do they show that is of value is that they have to meet certain standards. And right now, school districts are essentially underfunded for the most part, by and large. And so their staff as teachers, can't always do everything, even though sometimes we as the community expect them to do everything. And so what I showed them was that I can provide the additional things your school district needs that is at a lower cost than hiring a whole new teacher to do it, and will give you guys the results you need for your students to meet certain requirements. So for my sector, career development is always a requirement for a school district because a lot of school districts are moving to getting students to college, getting students into jobs, workforce readiness, but they don't have the staff and manpower to train every student in that. And so either it would be that they would pay a lot of money to train teachers to do that, or it would be to pay a company a lower amount to come in and do the same thing for their population. And so it's a matter of helping school. I look at it as schools are still businesses when it comes down to it. Mm-hmm. And if what you're providing can help them save money in the long term, then that shows value by also showing them that you're still engaging and helping the youth be successful.
Yeah, exactly. And, I also wonder if there's another integration, like you mentioned, the business that might have a software, things like that. Do you ever find that there's local businesses that can come alongside you as you would go into the school districts to help maybe defray the school district's cost, and maybe a business would help sponsor all or part of your program, and then that would look good for the business because they're going to be part of the presentation or maybe part of the materials, and the school district would have less to pay. Is that an opportunity sometimes?
Yes, it is, and we welcome those type of engagements. It helps with the business kind of showcasing that it's that partnership mentality, because by the business wanting to go that model of investing and helping the school district save money, and then showcasing whether it's tech, whether it's a product, or whether it's whatever that they have, it shows that they're willing to partner, they're interested in partnering, which then helps the school district be more willing to buy into what they want to talk about as far as going forward, giving a return on that business investment. And so we welcome anybody that would like to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. The students get all the benefit. The school gets to meet the criteria that they're graded on and judged on with career development, and then you're delivering a powerful program, and then you're spotlighting some of the businesses that would like to help sponsor some of the cost. And so I would think that would be a really wonderful relationship. So if you're a school district or a parent or a business looking to engage with your consulting group, what would be the best way that they can reach out to Youth Empowerment Society?
They can reach out to us by going to our website. It's yesconsulting.org. That's YESCONSULTING.org. And then we have a Contact Us form. You can also sign up for any freebies we have, as well as see some more about what we do.
Excellent. Well, Duron, thank you so much for your time today. It was wonderful learning about your business and your service to the community.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.